Okay, the third way that we are going to solve nonlinear systems is by using elimination. Elimination you would want to use if maybe you didn't have one of the variables by itself, meaning one of the y variables. But again, it's your own personal choice of which way that you want to use, whether again it's graphing, substitution, or elimination. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this one according to elimination. The first step you're going to do with any of these elimination ones is you're going to line up your equal signs. After you line that up, you want to see if anything gets eliminated. So in this one, it is nice that your two x values get eliminated. So you want to set it up as a little like addition problem because you are combining them. Another name for elimination is called linear combination. So combination would be addition. So those ones cancel out. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. So then I have 4x equals x squared plus 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, I want to get everybody over onto one side of the equal sign. Now, once you have this, you have a situation where you have a quadratic equation. You get to choose however it is that you want to solve this. Do you want to do factoring? Do you want to do graphing? Do you want to do completing the square? Which you'd have to be sadistic to want to do that, but there are people out there that love themselves some completing the square. And lastly, you could do the quadratic equation. For this one, I like factoring. I could do that factoring in my head. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Two numbers that multiply together to give me positive 3, but add to give me negative 4 are going to be negative 3 and 1. So my x values are going to be 3 and 1. So what that means is I've got 2 points. One is at 3 and the other one has an x value of 1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 3 and 1 and plug it into either one of the two equations to get the y values. So for this first one, I have y equals 3 squared plus 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. So this first point is at 310. The second one, I have y equals 1 squared plus 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So those are my 2 points. In the last video, I showed you how you could go about checking this. You could type it into your calculator, and then from there you could look at the table and see if the two intersecting points are at 310 and 1, 2. The other way that you could do this would be to plug 310 into both equations and then plug 1, 2 into both equations and check your answer that way. Okay, for the second one, again, my first step when you are doing elimination is to line up your equal signs. All right, in this particular problem, as you can see, nobody gets canceled out very easily. Oops, I made that, should be an X. Okay, so nobody cancels out very easily, even if I brought over that 2x. So what I'm gonna do here to fix this so that they can't, I'm gonna make my y's cancel out again. So this one's negative 3 on the bottom, so I'm gonna multiply this whole top equation by 3. When I do that, I'm gonna get 3y equals 3x squared plus 3x minus 3. I'm going to rewrite that second equation, the linear one, just down below it. And now I'm going to combine the two equations. So once again, the whole point of me doing that, multiplying by 3, was to cancel those out. So now I have 2x equals 3x squared plus 3x plus 3. Next, I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides, 2x. So that everyone gets over onto one side so that the equation now equals 0 and I'm able to solve a quadratic equation. Okay, I feel like doing the quadratic equation on this one. My a value is 3, my b value is 0, c value is 3. If factoring doesn't come naturally to you, you can't look at it and quickly do it in your head, I would suggest using the quadratic formula. Okay, so I have the opposite of b, which my b is not 0, my b is 1. So the opposite of 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times 3, all divided by 2 times a. So I have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus 36 all over 6. That's going to give me negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 35 over 6. That is a red flag should go up. This is a big problem. You cannot have negatives underneath the square root sign. So this answer is no solution. Now, in checking the calculator, if you wanted to check to see if this was going to be no solution, what you would have to do prior to typing it into your calculator, the quadratic one is okay, but this is not in slope-intercept form. And in order to type it into your calculator, you would have to move things around so that you would get the y value by itself, divide by negative 3, and you'd have y equals positive 2/3 x minus 2. And then this is what you would type in as your second equation, and you would see that the two equations, that's the parabola and the line, they never touch. It is pretty clear that they do not touch. It's not even like, do they even come close to touching? They don't touch at all. It's very clear to see if you were to check this. Okay, we'll do one more of these with elimination. Again, I'm going to line up my equal signs. So I have y equals x squared minus 5. Again, I'm lucky on this one in the sense I don't have to change anything. My y values cancel out. So I have 2x equals x squared minus 3. Next, I want the equation to equal 0 and get everybody over onto one side. So I'm going to subtract 2x, x squared minus 2x minus 3. Once again, you can pick any way that you want to go about solving this. I choose to factor. I have my negative 3, two factors of negative 3 that are going to give me negative 2 would be negative 3 and positive 1. So in this one, my x values are 3 and negative 1. So I have one point at 3, the other point at negative 1. Just double checking. So now I'm going to take those and I'm going to plug them in. I feel like plugging them in here. I have 3 squared minus 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. So my first answer would be 3, 4. The second one, I've got negative 1 squared minus 5. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. And there are my two answers. Again, checking this, you could, in this circumstance, you could use your calculator. You would have to rearrange the first equation, the linear one, so that y is by itself. The second way you could check this is a little bit more tedious, but you would have to take both those points and plug them into both the two equations. Therefore, you'd be checking 4 times to see that those are the correct answers. Again, the whole checking thing is going to be your decision if you want to or not.